Hi everyone, so we're on chapter 15 of Sky Song. Back to Flint. We do have a little guest. It's not very well today. She can run around, probably paw at the door as well. Flint knelt by his sister and wrapped his arms around her. 2 seconds. It's okay, Blue, it's okay. Pebble crawled out of his hood and licked Blue's cheek. I've got you now. Blue's bottom lip was trembling. Snow alive, Flint? It angry. Why the snow angry? Flint brushed the ice crystals from her furs. It's gone now, Blue. We're safe. It's all right. And then he turned to face Eska. She was there on the hillside still, just a few meters above them, but this was not the feeble girl he had helped escape Winterfang. This girl was different. Her stance was tough, her red hair was braided with feathers and plaits, and on her shoulder there perched a golden eagle. It was the same one Flint had seen trapped in the snare before Deep Roots. He could see the scar on its left talon, but what on earth was it doing with Eska? And how had she survived in the wild for so long? He scooped up Pebble and stumbled to his feet, but on seeing Eska, Blue pushed past him. Eska, she cried, clapping her hands. My friend, I miss you. Balapan launched herself into the sky, unsure what to make of the bundle of fur charging towards her. But Blue wasn't fazed. She flung her arms round Eska and squeezed her tight. Eska blushed. Hello, Blue. Little girl drew back. Flint, looking for you in forest. Flint plucked a clump of ice from Pebble's fur. Quiet, Blue. She scrunched up her nose. Flint, looking for you, Eska. At night, when Tompkins sleeping, and today on hunt, always looking with his magic glass. Flint was suddenly glad that his magnifying glass was tucked away in his rucksack and not out in his palm, searching for Eska's tracks, as it had been only a few hours before. We came out to the foothills to hunt ptarmigan, actually. The Tusk patrols are patrolling the forest now, and we can't access our usual hunting spots. Blue smiled. We came to find you, Eska. Flint forgot. Flint scowled at his sister. We strayed a little further than previous hunts this morning to, find the best ptarmigan, but we didn't expect to stumble into the Ice Queen's enchantments. He looked around the valley. So, you found another tribe to take you in, then? Eska glanced at Balapan wheeling above them. The bird was wary of the visitors, but she could tell that these ones meant no harm. Yeah. Flint frowned. Feather tribe, in the Nether Cliffs. No. Eska picked up her quiver and slung it over her shoulder. It's just me and Balapan. The eagle cried above them, carving its circles in the bright blue sky. Flint shook his head. You survived out here in the wild without a tribe. I've got a tribe, Eska replied. It's just not very big yet. But who taught you to hunt? How did you find shelter? Eska shrugged. Balapan. Then she added, the golden eagle? But Flint's words trailed away. She showed me the hideaway, then she taught me to hunt, Eska explained. Fish first, down by the river, then hares up in the burrows on the ridges. Ptarmigan too. Once I'd bent the caribou antler into a bow, strung it with sinew, and fletched my arrows. The words spilled out, toppling over each other in their strangely magnetic way as Eska negotiated her first proper conversation since leaving Deep Roots, and all the while Flint listened, his jaw open. We get along pretty well, Balapan and me, so long as I remember to wash up my dishes after hunts. But I suppose washing up is to be expected in tribes. It's not exactly fun, though, is it? She paused. Sorry, I forgot you don't much like talking. Flint was too shocked to speak, but Blue simply rolled her eyes. Keep up, Flint. Eska, good hunter. Let Eska eat food. There was a growl of approval from Flint's arms. Pebble hungry, too. And Flint was surprised to see that Eska didn't flinch at Blue's demands or even seem to hold a grudge about what the fur tribe had done to her when she'd asked to be welcome and didn't. She simply handed Blue the necklace she'd found in the snow and nodded towards the river. This way to the hideaway. Flint was quiet as they walked, and while Blue chattered away to Eska, he glanced up at the eagle soaring over the valley. It didn't seem to be following them exactly, but he could tell that he was watching their every move. Flint knew about the bonds between animals and tribes during hunts. He'd learnt about all of that from his pa. But no one had ever spoken of an animal teaching a person the ways of the wild. And yet somehow Balapan had helped keep the girl alive, against all the odds. He walked on in silence, but When Esker led them behind the waterfall to the wooden door behind the rock, Flint couldn't hide his astonishment. You? You found the giant's beard, he stammered. The waterfall that freezes all through winter and hides Erkenwald's most secret food store? Esker pulled the door open. Well, technically, Balapan found it. The eagle settled into its nest on the ledge outside, and Blue patted Esker's back. This is amazing, Esker. Flint stepped inside, and his eyes travelled over the beds, tables, and chairs, and the little pieces of the wild Esker had collected. Red quartz from the riverbed on the windowsill, pine needles scattered over the floor, and snowy owl feathers twisted round the base of a lamp. It really, really is, Flint murmured as he closed the door, and then he realised what he'd said and reached for some new words. Snargoyles, that's what we ran into back on the hill. Esker lit the stove while the others took a seat. Snargoyles? So that's what happens when the Ice Queen calls the hills to obey her? Flint nodded. Snow hexed by dark magic does strange things. Lofty said he saw snargoyles in this valley shortly after the battle last year, and none of us came back after that. He paused. Until we decided to hunt here today, obviously. Without bows or arrows, Esker said, avoiding his eyes. Flint shifted in his seat. He couldn't help feeling he was losing control of this conversation, something that often seemed to happen with Esker. He sank into silence as Esker reached for the plucked ptarmigan. She threw one, still raw, to Pebble, who squeaked with delight when she knelt by the fire as the meat cooked. The silence dragged on, and Flint's eyes widened as Esker plated up the meat and handed the food around. Thank you, he said after a while, for the ptarmigan and for helping us out with the snargoyles. I don't know what would have happened if you and Balapan hadn't shown up. Just keeping a promise, Esker said quietly. Flint thought back to her words on his sled. One day I'll repay you for rescuing me. They were words that he had scoffed at, and yet Esker had kept to them. Because of her courage and loyalty, he and his sister were still alive, and on realising that, something inside Flint thought this was a girl he and his tribe had vastly misjudged. He took a deep breath. I think maybe I was wrong about you, Esker. Esker smiled a wide smile that reached her ears, and Flint found himself wondering whether birthplace, parentage, and appearance were really the things that you should list people under. Somehow courage and loyalty seemed like better markers. Esker launched into all that had happened since leaving the labyrinth, being chased on to the foothills by the Ice Queen's sleigh, Balapan saving her, the Queen's plans to curse Erkenwald and wipe out the fur and feather tribes, and the mysterious mention of the sky song. Flint tried to imagine his beloved forest cursed by the Ice Queen's power, trees rotted through, lynx hex to obey her, the labyrinth destroyed, and his whole tribe gone. His heart trembled at the thought. After a while, Blue got up to play with Pebble, but Flint and Esker kept talking through the day, and though he had said nothing, Flint couldn't help noticing the change in Esker's voice. Her body was sturdier, even though the way she moved was more decisive. But her voice, although still strangely captivating, was undoubtedly weaker. Once or twice she tried to clear her throat, as if she could tell that there was something wrong and was embarrassed by the fact, but it didn't sound like a tickle or a cough to Flint. Esker leant back in her chair and sighed. I still don't know who I am or why my voice is important, or what this sky song is, or even how I'm going to stay hidden from the Ice Queen. I don't think people stop evil by staying hidden. Flint looked through the window at the afternoon shadows cast by the rowan trees. I think they stop it by standing out. Esker pulled her hair back from her face and wound it into a plait. But the midnight sun rises in 5 days. How? Flint gasped and Esker spun round. What am I doing the conversation? What? Am I doing the conversation wrong again? Look back at the window for a second, Flint murmured. Then he leant forward and peered at her neck. You have a birthmark just below your hairline. Oh, Esker replied. Is that good or bad? Flint grinned. It's big, the size of my fist, and the pattern is so clear I could have drawn it on it. It's the little bear, the constellation of the sky gods. Esker's face paled. The Ice Queen told me that I bore the mark of the gods, that it was the proof that I was cursed. I didn't know what she meant. Flint shook his head. You're not cursed, Esker. And how do you know? I've got the mark to prove it. Flint shook his head. Because since we met, you've got me thinking. 2 whole armies of warriors weren't enough to defeat the Ice Queen last summer, and Tompkins' rebellion will be no different, no matter how many extra training sessions he organises. He paused. I know that Erkenwald's magic can be used for good. His face reddened at the words kept secret for so long. And I think your birthmark is a sign that your voice is the key to defeating the Ice Queen. At the mention of her voice, Esker winced, and Flint couldn't help feeling that she was holding a secret back. She grabbed her spear. Raise your knife too, so that I've got a mirror behind me. I want to see the birthmark. Flint did as she asked, and Esker looked at the constellation stamped on her skin. She swallowed. I was planning to leave for the Nevercliffs today to seek out the Feather Tribe, but then the Snargles attacked. She gripped her spear. It's too late to go on now, but I need to set off at first light tomorrow because time is running out. The Feather Tribe might know something about my past or the Sky Song, and to defeat the Ice Queen, I'm going to need to know more than I do now. Flint nodded, and then he was silent for a few minutes. He knew he should be getting back to Tomkin. This was exactly the sort of detour his brother was always warning him about, but Flint's gut was telling him to go on with Esker. He thought of his ma trapped in Winterfang, and Erkenwald emptied of the fur and feather tribes and its rivers, mountains and oceans cursed by the Ice Queen. What if, by journeying to the Nevercliffs with Esker, he could prevent all of that? What if he could stage a rescue mission that worked not only for his ma, but for all of the other prisoners too? A mission that would make Tomkin proud of him, just for once. But then there was Blue, currently dangling tidbits of food before Pebble, who jumped up and gobbled them down. He couldn't leave her here. She didn't have the coordination to hunt on her own or the strength to spend nights in the wilderness with no one by her side. But he couldn't tell her to go back to Deep Roots. She wouldn't find her way without his help, and going back to the labyrinth with her would mean risking the Tusk Guards and Tompkins' rules. But to come with him, if he went on with Esker, she wouldn't keep up in the Nevercliffs. She wouldn't be able to cope with the dangers around them. I want to come with you, Esker, Flint said quietly. And Esker nodded as if perhaps she could read him a little better than he thought. But Blue? Flint whispered, she'd be slower. The nurse said, and she wouldn't understand things. Esker watched Blue rolling on the bed with Pebble. We'll look after her, she said. You, me, and Balapan. Flint bit his lip. It's a big thing, looking after her. Bigger than you think. Esker nodded. I know, but that's what tribes do. Flint was taken aback by her words. Not many people had the patience for Blue, and fewer still the understanding, but somehow Esker, an outsider who he knew nothing about, seemed to have both. And her acceptance stirred something deep inside Flint's heart. Esker looked around the hideaway. We'll leave at first light, after. Blue hurried to the window. Something there, she said. Something in the trees. Esker looked over Blue's shoulder. Balapan's still in her nest, Blue. It's okay. She'd let us know if there was anything to worry about. Blue shook her head. Something there. I saw it. Big shape. Flint drew Blue back to the table. Come on, Blue. It was just probably... A shiver rippled through Flint because there were footsteps crunching through the snow outside, accompanied by a low, husky breath. Someone or something was approaching the giant's beard. Esker grabbed her spear with one hand and Blue with the other. Then Flint edged forward on silent feet, before lowering an eye to a small crack in the door, his stomach tilted. White fur, an eye as black as coal. Erkenbear, he whispered, his voice laced with dread. I'm just going to leave that there, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye.